Welcome to the show. I'm really excited about the conversation that we're having today. We have a really experienced guest who's going to be taking us through the journey of executing sales enablement or revenue enablement, as we'll discuss later on, and the journey that she's been through in aligning sales and marketing at a big nationwide B2B organization. So today we have Sonja Webb joining us from OfficeMax.
Great to be here, Dale. Thank you.
So we'll kick off with a little bit of a background on who is Sonja. So could you give us a bit of background on who you are, what your journey has been, and the role that you now play at OfficeMax?
Absolutely. So I actually started off my career in market research. So I worked for a company called IDC. We researched the IT market industry in New Zealand, and I realized at the time while I was presenting sort of findings and insights to my customers that they were usually marketers on the other end of the table, and I was a lot more interested in what they were going to do. They were going to take my insights and turn it into strategies and actions, and I decided that's where I want to be. So I made a sideways step in my career and started in marketing, and today I head up the marketing team at OfficeMax. So OfficeMax is a workplace supplies company. We sell everything for the workplace: furniture, technology, cleaning, safety, etc. 200 salespeople around the country.
Wow.
And yeah, big team, biggish team. And my team look after all sorts of things, but go-to-market strategies and also enabling the sales team. Those are sort of key focus areas. Yeah.
So with that background in market research, that must have given you a really strong foundation in customer insight and actually appreciating what the market's telling you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a really natural fit, I find, as a marketer. I've just got that natural curiosity for people, what makes them tick, and understanding them and understanding sort of how we can kind of talk to customers in a way that resonates. Yeah.
So we're here to unpick a little bit of your journey at OfficeMax around sales enablement, and with 200 sales staff, that's a fair few people to enable. So why don't we start off with a definition? How would you define sales enablement?
So as you mentioned at the beginning, I actually prefer the term revenue enablement because it's more than just sales. So revenue enablement is about making our sales team successful, and it needs that 360-degree alignment, all departments across the organization working to make sure our salespeople are really successful. So how I would define it, revenue enablement is, it's usually a team of people. It can be a function or a department or a cross-functional team. They act as the glue between sales, marketing, merchandise, all the different departments in the business, and they're really tasked with taking go-to-market strategies and making sure we deliver effectively to them. So they produce all the right processes, tools, equipment, training, marketing collateral and content to make our salespeople effective at selling. So it's really about productivity and effectiveness for our sales team.
Now, I know a little bit about where you're at in terms of the sales and marketing alignment piece at OfficeMax, but take us back 5 years, because you're in a good space now, but 5 years ago it was very polarized, right?
Yeah, well, actually 5 to 10 years ago, I'll go back that far, marketing were really very focused on above the line activity. So I'm forever grateful to one of the sales leaders at the time who actually pulled me aside and said, look, you're not very well respected as a team by the sales team. You don't make us successful. You don't really know what we do. That's
a courageous conversation.
It was hard to hear, but yeah, we really listened and realized that we needed to suddenly just learn everything we could about our sales team, their process, Salesforce. We didn't even know how Salesforce worked, how they progressed opportunities through to close, all that information. We just spent a lot of time soaking all that up. Yeah. And
then, so you had that conversation back then that said, look, you could be more effective.
Yeah.
Possibly in more blunt words than I've just used there.
Yeah.
What happened next?
So with everything we learned about the sales team, we started to produce a lot better content and collateral for the sales team. The challenge we had, though, was it was all printed at the time, so it was scattered across the business. Our sales team couldn't find collateral easily. They didn't know if it was the most up-to-date content. So that actually spurred us into investigating a partnership with a company called Seismic. Seismic are a global leader in sales enablement. They're absolutely massive in the US, not so known here in New Zealand. We're one of the first to partner with them, actually the first in New Zealand. If I had to summarize what their platform does, very simply, it's a place where marketing load content or collateral, the sales team find it easily, but they can then send it digitally to customers, and sales and marketing both receive insights into what are customers opening, what are they engaging with. So that platform has cemented the relationship between marketing and sales. We're suddenly a vital part of what the sales team do at OfficeMax.
So tech would be quite a key part in that journey for you there.
Absolutely, yeah. It's basically solved a lot of the problems that we were both sales and marketing were having.
Okay, so take us through some of those problems and some of those challenges and opportunities, because you've kind of highlighted that you were setting out to solve, on one level, a reputation issue with marketing, and particularly among the sales team. But presumably there was an effectiveness and a financial impact component to that as well. So what were the things that you actually set out to tackle and to achieve?
So when we first partnered with Seismic, again, some brave salespeople came to me to say, look, we don't actually know how to use marketing collateral in a conversation with a customer because we've never able to find it before.
I love that.
Yeah, so really in terms of their effectiveness, they didn't know how to do content marketing, which is what we're here to talk about today. And the numbers really proved it, because at the time we could see our sales team was spamming out lots of content, lots of information to customers, and customers were only opening and looking at it 18% of the time, which just wasn't acceptable. So,
that stings.
Yeah, the key problem was just we need to go back to basics, teaching salespeople how to choose the right information to send to the customer at the right stage of their buying journey.
And how did you kind of facilitate that conversation? Because from a salesperson's perspective, and I might be putting words in people's mouths here, but there's often only a particular window of that buyer's journey that they see. So how did you get the sales team to be able to visualize what that journey looked like, or understand what that journey looked like?
Yeah,
what were the tools in the arsenal there?
So it was basically all about training, and we really did have to break down all the stages of a customer's buying journey, and really explain it to, obviously no customer buying journey is ever linear, it's all over the place, every customer is different, but simplified it down to a linear journey and really walk them through all the stages of the customer's buying decision-making process, and at what points different types of marketing content or collateral can be used. Do you want me to give me
I'd love to, yeah. As soon as you say that, my ears prick up and I'm like, what works where?
So obviously, right at the beginning of the customer's decision-making journey, they know they have a problem they need to solve. They're not thinking about reaching out to a sales rep at that time. Often customers are doing a lot of research digitally, and you're not even on their radar. But at that point, sales reps can still be using content. They can be bite-sized, digestible content such as infographics or blogs. They can be sharing it on social media. Really, it's about positioning themselves as kind of an authority in this area, establishing credibility. So by the time the customer's ready to start looking for suppliers, that person's on their radar, basically. So that's at the very beginning stages where we're not even in contact with the customer. Once the customer starts to get to the point where they kind of know the product they need or the solution they need, and they're ready to start reaching out to suppliers, that's where case studies are really useful. If they're talking to us as well as others, we can share case studies and show how similar customers in your industry, this is how we've helped them with our product or solution. So, and then it just gets more and more detailed as you work through the journey. Personalized, tailored presentations showcasing exactly which products we recommend to the customer. So,
wow. Yeah. So that's going way beyond transactional, right? You're not just talking about shipping off a box of pens here and there. You're talking about actually taking customers on a full sort of solution selling journey.
Yeah.
Am I able to ask, and I don't know if this is off record or on record, but what sort of, are there clusters of different solutions that you would be selling regularly? The reason that I ask is, how did you prioritize where to start? Because when I look through your inventory, how many SKUs do you have?
About 70,000.
Okay, where do you start with 70,000 SKUs?
It's a good question. It is a matter of prioritization. It is meeting with the sales leadership team at the start of every year and planning that year and talking about which product categories have the biggest opportunity for us as a business. And it can change from year to year depending on what the trends are. So for example, during the pandemic, packaging was all the rage, online shopping, every retailer was turning into an online retailer. There was huge opportunity there. That became our top priority. So delivering content to help talk about that topic was important then. So it changes every year or sometimes quarterly, monthly, depending on what's happening. Yeah.
And I really like that is a sales and marketing exercise.
Yeah, it has to be, yeah.
And often it's not. I saw some research recently that talked about the actual crossover in targeting between who sales are going after and who marketing are going after, and I think that the number was something like 17% was the only crossover in the actual targeting, which is just bonkers for me.
Yeah.
Take us through when you had those conversations early on and you'd kind of made the shift to go in the direction of content selling and revenue enablement. What did those first few months look like? How did you break down that timeline?
So to start with, we actually had to get buy-in from sales leadership, because marketing wanting to talk to their sales team about how to do content selling is quite a fluffy sounding thing, and they're busy people. So
stop adding marketing words before the real serious stuff.
I know, exactly. So we actually had to get their attention and used a few shock tactics, basically told our sales leaders we were boring our customers, and had the facts to back it up, with only 18% of customers reading the content sales were sending. So that, coupled with what's in it for them, the why. So so the message was, if we teach our people to be good content sellers, they will have a point of difference against the competition. If you really show your customer you understand them and their challenges intimately, you'll get a better result. You'll convert the sale faster. So that really resonated with sales. So we had their buy-in from there, and we were able to kick off the journey.
And how have you backed that up along the way? Because going from 18% engagement or open rates to where would you guys sit on that spectrum now? So
we're 50% now after a couple of years, which we're really proud of. Some of our salespeople have open rates in the high 70s, high 80s, which is fantastic. So it was a real journey. Numbers are everything. We were really able to back up, thanks to the Seismic platform. It's all digital. So in the old days with collateral, it's printed. You can't prove that this document is working. But now with our tool that we have, there's no debates about which document or which collateral content marketing should produce. We can show them these are the top 10 documents that are producing results, actually delivering sales wins for the business. So using numbers that matter to our sales leadership team has really helped. We were also able to prove early on, when we had an 18% open rate, we looked at where is this coming from, and our education sales team, we realized they sell to schools. They were sending lots of content during the school holidays, which is when their contacts weren't even in the office. So really simple changes like that, all of a sudden their open rate took off. They're now one of our best performing teams. So we were able to have some really early wins using numbers, using insights to actually show sales leaders how they can change and deliver results as well with the content.
And with I suppose a library of assets and content available, is it that classic sort of 80-20 split where you've got 20% of the content's delivering 80% of the value? Or
it really is. And again, that helps us with the prioritization conversation. We really focus our efforts on the content that performs the best and get rid of the content that doesn't work for us. So, yeah.
So other than open rates, what are the markers that you're looking for there to say this is a valuable piece of content?
So other than the open rates, all of our data is actually synced into Salesforce. So
awesome.
So collateral, we can see, was this piece of collateral used in this opportunity, and did the customer actually open it? If the customer opened it, the value of that opportunity can be attributed to that collateral. So we actually have dollars against all of the collateral that we produce. So what delivers the highest dollar value? That's another metric, which is quite a change from what we were able to do historically.
And of all of the pieces of content that you've produced, what's been the number one? What's driven the most dollar value?
So another amazing part of the tool is that we can actually automate collateral. So our sales team just fill in a simple form with a few basic details, and it will actually automate and create a personalized document relevant to that customer. It might pull in the sales rep's contact details, the customer's name, the messaging, storytelling about the category that they're interested in, and the sales reps can also pull in specific product SKUs into that flyer. So it's a really bespoke flyer. We used to do maybe 16 of them a year for our top customers, and we did, I think, 1,600 in the first 6 months of this year because it's all automated. Whoa. So that is our single, because customers love it too. It's got their name on it, all over it. It's really tailored to them. Yeah. And sales love it because it's a really nice experience for our customer. That's by far and away the top performing. Yeah.
What I love about that is that it's delivering a personalized experience at scale.
Yeah,
which is
exactly, that's the point. Yeah,
I mean that's the perfect blend of the scale of the sales skill set. That really personalized, and then the marketing piece, which is the bigger mouth, the bigger ears, the bigger voice. What were the hardest parts in the journey, apart from the initial conversation, which would have been a bit of would have been a tough one? The
hardest part is there's just so much opportunity with all the insights we have. I see so many other opportunities for other things we could do, and it's just resourcing it basically. That's been a challenge. And of course the sales team love what we do now and want more.
Victims of your own success.
It's just prioritizing what we do. That's the hardest challenge when you can see there's 10 more things we could do that would also drive value, drive revenue.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
And then how do you navigate the split? Because you talked early on about about marketing 10 years ago having focused purely above the line. Presumably that's still a part of what you do. So what does that split look like in terms of time and effort between awareness and brand versus the more kind of journey-based work?
We're a very small team, so I would say probably 25% of the effort is that above the line awareness, but a big majority of what we do now is working with sales, enabling them, and campaign planning, executing go-to-market strategies. That is, a huge part of what we do now. Yeah. Because it works, we're working together, so it's driving results.
So if you had to describe the relationship now between sales and marketing, what would be the words that you would put on it?
So I'm really proud because often when a new sales staff member or a marketing team member join the business, it's happened numerous times now, they'll tell me they've never seen such a strong relationship between marketing sales anywhere else they've ever worked. So, and that's a collective effort across all of sales, all of marketing. We're all trying to work together on this. So it's not one word, but I'm really proud about that feedback, about how strong our relationship is.
Oh, that speaks volumes, particularly if you've got an experienced salesperson coming in and saying, I've never had it as good.
It makes me really proud.
Yeah, and it should do. I think that's it's a notoriously difficult nut to crack. But it definitely sounds like the work that you've done together has actually put you on the right track. And we're here at the Marketing Association now, and we were here a couple of weeks ago when Adam, the head of sales, was talking about the same journey, but from the sales side of the camp. And what I think is really interesting to observe is how the highlights from both sales and marketing correlate.
Yeah.
It's not like your marketing team is getting really, really excited about this one widget, and they're getting excited about the closing. It's actually it feels like a team sport.
Yeah, and actually how we achieved that originally, it was really interesting because when we first launched Seismic, we actually positioned it as a sales tool. We actually had Adam, our sales director, standing up at conference going, sales team, this is our tool. And he fronted it for a very long time, and we kind of positioned it as a sales tool. And nobody wants to be told what to do by a marketer when they're in sales. Now we've come so far down the journey, everyone knows marketing are driving it and running it, and they love to come to us, and they're totally fine to be told what to do because they see the value that it adds to their life. But we did start off by positioning it as this is something sales have decided to commence with this journey. Yeah.
So in terms of structuring your team, how many people or resources, or what percentage of the time then, how do you structure that in terms of who drives the awareness, what's the skill set you have in that camp, and then within the content and content selling spectrum, what are the key roles within that team?
So we try to focus on everything as one campaign. So whatever story we're trying to tell customers, we've got a brand manager who looks after PR and above the line activity, and our digital team as well. They're working on the above the line activity as part of that campaign. We then have what we call customer segment managers. So their job is understanding our customer segments really intimately, because just like we've got 70,000 products, we sell to every industry in New Zealand. So understanding the unique personas in every industry is important. So we've got customer segment managers. They understand the audience. They pull together the go-to-market sort of campaigns and promotional activity, and even the collateral for the sales team. So we work together, making sure that the above-the-line messages are also reflected in the go-to-market or the campaigns and the promotions that we're running at the same time.
I'm fascinated now that you said that you serve every industry in the country. How do you go about managing customer and segment insight? Because that's a huge job.
It's huge, and it's a real challenge.
And does sales play a part in that?
Yeah, I mean, their insights into their customers have been invaluable, but obviously I have a market research background. We do a lot of research. And yeah, the personas are very, very different. The types of roles you might target in a school are completely different to someone in a warehouse, manufacturing, just completely different personas. So we actually do have to create personas for each of the core, obviously we prioritize again, which industries are most important for us to go after. But marketing for the sales team and for marketing bring to life those personas using insights from sales, insights from research. Yeah, so we can rattle off all the different personas depending on what industry you're interested in.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite persona?
Well, I have to say Jo, because Jo is our office admin lady. That's kind of where we started, although we're so much more than stationery now. Yeah. Jo is the heart of everything. So yeah, office admin manager, she often makes a lot of decisions, including who the company should partner with when it comes to workplace supplies providers. So yeah, she's our oldest persona and still core to what we do.
Most entrenched, perhaps.
Yeah. There are other very interesting ones, but yeah, she's the oldest. Yeah.
And any other standouts other than Jo?
Well, we've got Bob, who is our operations warehouse manager, and completely different to Jo. Kind of grumpy, short on time, stick to the facts. He's all about packaging and safety gear, but the products he buys are absolutely business critical. If we run out of supplying packaging to an online retailer, they can't deliver their orders to customers, so they hear about it. So absolutely business critical supplies that we're sending to him, as opposed to Jo, where, and we're very good and on time with what we deliver, but if you don't deliver pens on time, if you're a day late, it's not as critical to her.
That's the end of the world.
Yeah.
What I love about your description of Bob is how objective that is. It's not the sugar-coated, he loves buying packaging from companies that make him feel good. It's like, he's got no time.
Yeah.
Everything matters, and if it falls over, his neck's on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And our sales team add that color. We know from research kind of what roles buy from us, etc. But that color and flavor is kind of given to us by the sales team in terms of this is typically who I encounter. Yeah.
And do you find that when you're doing that kind of process with sales, that they'll have the occasional anecdote that just lights up that persona and just makes them relatable?
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of what sticks in all of our brains. We'll usually add it to the description of the persona, in terms of this is what this person is like. Yeah. So yeah, that really adds a lot of color for us.
So here's I suppose a follow-on question from that. Do the sales team use personas, or is it a way of kind of bridging the understanding back into marketing?
Yeah, we actually, absolutely. So we share with them that these are the personas that we are targeting. Does this help you? But it also helps them in their own training, right? If you get a new salesperson on board, they need to learn the industry. They need to learn who they might encounter, what are typical pain points or goals that customer might have. So they actually, and in the content selling training that we do, we actually do bring to life in this category, these are the types of roles you'll encounter. Here's what they care about. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that from an induction and onboarding perspective. If it's something we can talk about, how does that training piece play out? How do you induct new marketers? How do you induct new salespeople through what is probably an enormous library of work at this point? That's
a really good question, and it's actually core to what a revenue enablement team do, which is how we started the conversation. One of the most valuable things we've been doing as a cross-functional team is creating what we call playbooks. And so basically, for any category you might sell or any industry you might sell to, we pull together all that information. Who are the key personas? What are the competitors like in this space? What are the key qualifying questions you should ask as a salesperson? We pull all that training and information together into one place so that anybody new, sales or marketing, can just go there and learn. And even what collateral should you use with this type of customer. It's all kind of, pulled together in one place.
That must shorten the takeoff period for a new member of staff, something just massively.
Yeah, and that is, again, revenue enablement to a T. Getting your new sales staff in particular onboarded as fast as possible so that they're selling as fast as we can.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does, absolutely. It's very, very popular with our sales team.
Oh, I can see why. I love the commercial pragmatism in all of that.
Yeah.
So what have been the lessons that you've learned in this whole journey? What would you do more of if you were to go through this again, and what would you just absolutely not touch?
So I think, I wish I'd started sooner. That was number one, and learning about sales. Again, being receptive to that feedback right at the start, where it was quite painful. It was, we don't respect you, we don't think you care about sales or know enough about us. not closing that off when you get difficult feedback like that was definitely a lesson.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and in terms of what works well, really meaningful insights, learning what metrics matter to your sales team so that you can actually really prove the value that you're adding to them, and proving to them that you are actually helping to make their sales team more effective, faster at what they do. That resonates. As soon as you can do that, you're called into strategy meetings, you're involved in everything sales do, but it wasn't the case going back 10 years or so ago.
So what are the metrics that sales monitor most?
Well, it's actually the metrics we can share with them. So even things like our customer research, sharing with them what we've learned about our customers, that's really valuable. But the single most important metric was that customer open rate, because it became a measure of sales effectiveness. If you know how to identify the right content to send to the right customer at the right time, you're a good salesperson. And it actually correlates so strongly that our top content sellers are actually also coincidentally some of our top performers when it comes to overachieving on their sales targets. So that
I was going to ask that question. How do you I suppose champion the people who are doing a really good job of it and share that with the rest of the team?
That is really important, because it's almost like internal case studies. So we actually had video case studies of some of our stuff, especially early on. This is how I have used content marketing in Seismic. This is exactly what I did. This is the result I got, and sharing that with their teams. We train our sales leaders now to we do a monthly dashboard in terms of Seismic results. You can see who the top performers are and who the bottom performers are, and we encourage our sales leaders to pick out the people that are in their teams and just get them to share, so that marketing aren't having to drive that anymore. So yeah.
That's really good, actually, having that degree of separation, so that it changes it from being marketing says we should to the sales leader says this is what we can do.
Absolutely. We jointly own the responsibility for making it a success. It's even KPI'd for a lot of our sales team as well.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
So if someone was looking to go on this journey, and let's say they're in the position that OfficeMax was in 10 years ago, and sales have had the hard conversation, what should they do next?
More conversations with sales, first of all. What are their pain points? What are their challenges? How do they think marketing can be useful to them? Secondly, talking to other B2B marketers and finding out as much as possible. What are you doing? How are you structured? How are you supporting your sales team? That would be the starting point. And from there, you can build together your kind of requirements. What do you actually want to do as a marketing team to support sales?
Obviously, it being two halves of the one coin, how would you describe what the sales culture needs to look like in order to be receptive and to get the most value out of this?
That is a really good question. One of the other resonating messages that we had to put out there in the beginning is don't be a digital dinosaur, because some of this tech is really new and confronting.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of people take up some of the technology that when we launched it, and others just were too terrified. But that message, don't you be the digital dinosaur, kind of became, it resonated with a lot of people. And then also the message that we're at the forefront. This is new sales technology. You're going to be some of the most in-demand salespeople in terms of your own personal development. If you learn this tech, and there's AI built into the platform, this is a chance to really be at the forefront of what, and as a marketer as well, like I said, we were the first in the country to partner with Seismic. It's actually really rewarding to do that.
So what I love about that is that it not once have you spoken about the sales team being purely numbers based. You're talking about a culture of aspiration and doing the best thing by the customer and investing in yourself to invest in the future of yourself, but also us. I just think that's such a refreshing approach to a sales mindset.
Absolutely.
I know that New Zealand typically invests a lot less in developing its salespeople than our counterparts in the US and the like. I'd love to see more of that kind of thinking permeate other sales teams, because it can be such a rewarding relationship. I've sat on both sides of the fence, both in sales and in the marketing camp. Marketing was always my first love. Used to watch the kids adverts at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and that was me hooked. But having spent time in the sales camp as well, there's so much value in that, in the marketing mindset of understanding customers, understanding what works, tailoring what's right at the right time. That if you can get the sales team on page with that, I mean, the results speak for themselves, right? Yeah,
we're really fortunate. Their culture is wanting to drive a value-added conversation with customers, not just pick up the phone and say, how's the weather, but actually ask the right questions, give the right insights to customers to really, add that value to the customer conversation. And we're fortunate to work with a team that has that mindset.
So when it came to the partnership with Seismic, how did that play out? Did you find them? Did they find you? How did the rollout piece work?
Yep.
I'm intrigued to know more about that.
So we had our challenge of content's all printed, nobody can find it, and we really just wanted a platform that would enable us to put everything in one place where sales could find it easily, but also that automation piece. We wanted to be able to, again, deliver documents at scale. So we built our requirements, our IT team led the project, and basically interviewed, I think it was 13 different platforms, got them all to demonstrate their offering to us, and we actually had, I feel like it was 10 of us in the project team, literally grading everybody against the requirements that we had. It came down to 2, and we got them to again do another demo, much more detailed demonstration, and again graded the 2 of them. So it was a real collaborative process as well.
And the fact that you're working with IT on that as well, it's another layer of complexity to navigate. Yeah. So from the first pitch of the idea of let's go with a content selling platform to it kind of paying its way and actually generating the impact that it promised, what was that timeline? Because that's not overnight, I'm guessing.
No. I think the business case might have taken 4 to 6 months or so to actually write and again, it was a joint effort. We had input from our sales director in terms of what driving extra efficiency for sales would actually mean. 4 to 6 months to make the business case. I think it was a year-long implementation, just really year-long, maybe 8 months, and then rolling it out and bedding it in. It took us a year to, what we focused on initially was just get sales using the platform. And we had 98% adoption of the platform by the end of the year, which was fantastic.
Wow.
But we had the 18% open rate.
Yeah.
So just use the platform, learn the platform was the focus initially.
Yeah.
Year 2, it was now use it effectively, please.
Yeah.
So that was the content selling piece came in then. Yeah.
What I love in everything that you've just said though is that's marketing strategy in a nutshell, right? Like have the big vision, understand it, recognize that it's not going to happen on day one, hold the line, play it out over time, and perfect's better than, done is better than perfect at sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off. It's it must have been an incredible journey to have gone on. I mean, from your perspective personally, how has that journey influenced you as a marketer and as a human?
Oh, hands down, I'm a better B2B marketer now. I'm so mortified that I didn't understand our sales team before this, but I've learned so much. Revenue enablement, I wasn't even on my radar. How the sales team operate. It's just been really rewarding, and they are our customers, just like we have our customer base, and to get all the thank yous and the you've made my life easier feedback from sales is it's quite rare as a marketer to get thank yous from sales, but we get them all the time, and it's really rewarding.
I would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I always liken myself in that context. We were talking to Louis about it on the way up here. I'm like the golden retriever that needs a pat on the head and a biscuit to be told that I've done a good job. And when you get that from sales, it's that's a rush in itself. The
team light up whenever they see that feedback. Yeah, the sales team are very good at coming forward and saying thank you when it matters. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like everyone should be applying for a job at OfficeMax.
It is a great place to work.
Great little plug.
Yeah.
Is there any literature or people to observe and follow and read that you would recommend in this space?
Yep. Again, as I've said already, first and foremost, just talk to your own sales team and other B2B marketers. But I come from obviously that market research background, and an actual practice in market research is desk research, which basically means just Google. So I honestly recommend 3 phrases. Googling content selling, also insight selling, which is the type of content that really resonates, and revenue enablement, and just finding the there's so much to read on the internet. Just find the articles that are most relevant to your role and do that. I like as well Simon Sinek on YouTube, just little bite-sized chunks of information about sales best practice. I find learning about that helps me to be a better B2B marketer as well.
Yeah, but I like that you have 3 takeaways on what to go and search. That's great. That's really, really actionable.
Yeah.
That's been such an enjoyable conversation. Louie's given me the wave to say we're about time, so we'll wrap it up from there. But do you have any final asks of the audience or any kind of final thoughts to share?
Talk to sales.
Talk to sales.
Over and over. Yeah, just give it a go. Start small. See what you can. If they've got things they need for marketing, start small. See where you can help, and it's really rewarding. And give it a go.
Give it a go.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic point to end on. Thank you so much, Sonja.
Yeah. Great, thank you.